Hi, welcome to this Methods 2 graduate screencast. My name is Andy Dieckhoff, and this is a presentation on mobile-assisted language learning in the classroom. This screencast looks at 8 peer-reviewed computer-assisted language learning journals published from 2012 to 2014. 20 articles from these 8 leading journals were used to discuss the trends in the use and the research of mobile technology in the classroom. This screencast also highlights one article in particular that embodies some of these trends. The point of the screencast is to prepare TESOL students to discuss pedagogical applications of technology and specifically mobile technology in the classroom in a flipped classroom that will be conducted on June 5th. The journals that I looked at in this analysis include Calico, Computer Assisted Language Learning, Recall, Eurocall, Language Learning and Technology, the International Journal of Computer-Assisted Language and Teaching, Teaching English with Technology, and the Journal of Digital Learning and Teacher Education. The focus of recent research can be split among 5 main categories: the specific language skills, including literacy, reading, grammar, writing, and oral proficiency, language apps and games, which looks at the development of new apps as well as studies highlighting the use of specific apps or games that are already in existence. There's also been much research looking at teaching with mobile-assisted language learning, including the development of bring-your-own-device classrooms, in which students are encouraged to bring their mobile phones and tablets in order to facilitate language learning. This also touches on issues in teacher development and teacher education. Some work has looked at the future of mobile-assisted language learning, including meta-analyses of research which give ideas for future implementation of mobile technologies in the classroom. Lastly, learner identity and perception have been taken into account, including learners' experiences with mobile technology. When looking at the trends and the focus of the research of the articles that I chose for this analysis, we see that there's a pretty even split among the 5 different categories. Language apps and games, teaching with mobile-assisted language learning, and specific language skills each represent 25% of the articles that I chose. The future of mobile-assisted language learning saw a 15% stake in the articles, whereas learner identity was looked at the least often, at 10%. However, it should be noted that many of the articles looked at multiple topics of these 5. However, when I was categorizing these, I split them up by the main focus of the article. Some articles, however, touched on all 5 of these topics, using language apps that teach with mobile-assisted language learning, specific language skills, and are measured in terms of learners' confidence and give pedagogical implications for future implementations of mobile learning. So this should not be taken to say that any one of these focuses is more or less important, but just to show that each of these are trying to appeal to different audiences. There have also been interesting trends in the research methodologies used for these studies. 60% of the studies in this analysis were qualitative, many of them case studies, which looked at the development or the implementation of mobile language learning apps that were used in classrooms. 10% of these studies were quantitative, using descriptive statistics to talk about learners' performances in classrooms. Another 10% were mixed methods, where statistic analyses were done of self-report, survey data, and other types of qualitative data. 15% of the articles that I looked at fell into a different category, including a meta-analysis and other discussions of the implementations of MAL in classrooms. The article in focus for this screencast is Students' Perceptions and Experiences of Mobile Learning by Kim, Ruckert, Kim, and So. This article appeared in the October 2013 issue of Language Learning and Technology. It investigates how mobile devices create personalized learning experiences for students, and how exposure to mobile technology can impact attitudes towards technology for teachers and students alike. It also discusses pedagogical implications for mobile technology in the classroom. The research questions set forth by Kim, Ruckert, Kim, and So are as follows. What are the students' perceptions of mobile devices used for learning? And how do students use mobile devices to connect, communicate, and collaborate with each other as they create personalized mobile learning experiences? Participants in this study included 53 master's students in a TESOL program in a central United States university. There were 17 male participants and 36 females. The participants were split into two groups who received different mobile devices. Group A received handheld mobile devices such as mobile phones and tablets. Group B received laptops and netbooks. The data collection process used the measure of the Technology Adapter Category Index, or the TACI, which shows a person's willingness to adapt to new technologies. Students also completed weekly class projects using various mobile devices, which will be discussed in the next slide. Pre-study survey, student reflections, and post-study survey were the types of data collected, and those surveys determined a student's TACI rating. The study had students in each group completing 6 class projects which were designed for mobile language learning. These included a bio-sketch, an online discussion, spring break Facebook updates, YouTube video watching, a voice thread presentation, and YouTube authoring. From the results of the pre-study surveys, student reflections, and post-study surveys, statistical analyses were conducted to determine a correlation between attitudes about technology and the use of mobile technology in the classroom. Some of the major findings of this study include that TESOL students saw mobile devices as having the potential to provide greater mobile connectivity and communication. This is because the language learning environment is taken outside of the school and outside of the confines of the classroom, so that learners can interact with the language on their own time and at their own convenience using mobile devices that they have at their disposal. TESOL students who were more receptive to technology and thus scored higher on the TACI were more likely to use mobile devices for language learning. Conversely, students who were less receptive to technology and scored lower on the TACI were less likely to use mobile devices for language learning. This positive correlation shows that there is a relationship between attitudes about technology and how much a student will actually use them. A third finding was that TESOL students on handheld mobile devices logged on more frequently than those using mobile computers, and thus that the convenience of these handheld mobile devices may provide even more language learning opportunities for students. An interesting and important concession made by the authors is that the use of mobile learning language environments and activities can be very effective, but for technology-resistant students, the anxiety caused by having to use new technologies may increase their affective filter. This is an important consideration for future educators to take as they consider using mobile-assisted language learning in their classrooms. To what degree do you want to give students opportunities to facilitate their language learning without making things too difficult for them or putting things beyond their limitations? This is something that we all need to consider as we look at mobile technology in our classrooms. There are some important implications from this study. One is that mobile devices provide more learning opportunities, as we discussed. This is because learners can take their mobile devices outside of the classroom and have a chance to interact with the language on their own terms and at their own convenience. However, not all learners have the same proficiency with digital devices. Therefore, apps must account for both ease of use and the difficulty of material. They want to make applications that are easy to use, that are not going to scare off students who are already hesitant about technology, but they don't want to bore students who are tech savvy already by having too easy of material on them. So they want to provide material that's just difficult enough without alienating those users who do not have quite as much digital literacy or experience with mobile technology. However, the increasing availability of this technology makes mobile learning ever more viable in the language learning classroom. For this reason, language educators really need to know what their stance is on mobile assisted language learning in the classroom and whether or not they're going to use it. The authors finished their article by saying that developers and educators should furnish students with options that they can use to create personally meaningful language learning with mobile technologies. So this leaves us with some things to consider for the flipped classroom that I will be teaching on June 5th. A few questions that I'd like you to think about and be prepared to discuss include what your opinions are on bring your own device classrooms and whether you would ever use them. Also think about what place MAL might have in your classroom. Then brainstorm ideas for different language learning apps. Which skills would you address, and how would yours look? Thank you very much for watching this presentation, and I look forward to working with you on June 5th.